Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pickled Egg Podcast.
Ooh, hi guys.
Is that what we're going to name
I
this?
think that it sounds good.
So we had a poll on social media, and we had a vote off between the Pickled Egg and Sorry We're Open as a title to our new podcast right here at the Town Pump. And even though a lot of people voted Sorry We're Open, I think we're going to override it because we had some professional marketing advertisers suggest that the Pickled Egg be the move that we make
Yeah,
on this. What do you think?
it was a tough call. It was split. It was split. The comments were tough. I think the pickled egg is nice. It rolls off the tongue, kitschy, feels good.
I think it's very catchy. It sort of exemplifies who we are. We don't, like we talked about in our little clip before, we take the Town Pump very seriously as a business, but we don't take life that seriously in the bar. And I think Pickled Egg sort of characterizes that.
Yeah, I love it.
So anyway, we're going to name it the Pickled Egg Podcast at the Town Pump. And, you know, we were talking about this off camera earlier before the recording. We were talking about how much we can do with that. And we can come up with bumper stickers or decals or hats or t-shirts or
Oh, it's
whatever
endless.
and just freaking run with it.
Little eggs.
So anyhow, welcome to the Pickled Egg at the Town Pump. Today, in this episode, we're going to talk about something that everyone wants to know about, especially, well, new customers and old customers alike want to know more about the history of the Town Pump. And I think that's really a large part of who we are and where the nostalgia for the Town Pump comes from in its age, its history, its progressions through the 1920s, the 19 teens, the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. You know, we've had people come in here from 70 or 80 years ago talk about what the Town Pump used to be like. And while there hasn't been a lot of change in the Town Pump, there's also been a lot of change in the Town Pump.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I'm
So,
excited. I feel like I'm going to learn about a lot of things too
well,
here through this.
I may very well learn more about the Town Pump myself, repeating it and thinking about things that I've forgotten about over
Yeah.
time. So what if you were to look into your own curiosity or something you don't know about the Town Pump and its history, what would you ask? What would be the first question you would ask coming in here as a new customer?
Well, I think like the question I get most is, how long have you guys been here? And I think when people look around, they can see the history that is here, from the old pictures on the wall. So it just screams and radiates that it's been a staple here for some time. So I mean, I think that's the first and foremost question. How long has a town pump existed?
So according to one guy that used to work here who did some archive digging 20 something years ago, he found this was before digital um, access to history and all that and Fort Collins archives existed. He found that the Town Pump was established on February the 26th in 1909. Okay, so that would make us 117 years old. I have recently contacted I guess the lady that's in charge of historical archives here in town, and she sent me some paperwork. And she doesn't really know because it doesn't clarify exactly when the Town Pump was built. But she also told me that these were literally from newspaper articles and print articles from a long time ago, back in the 1920s and 1930s. So what she told me was, let me take a step back. According to the guy that did the the historical digging that I'd heard about when I was working here as a bartender, was that the building, the Avery Building, which is owned by Palmer Properties, the Avery Building was built in November of 1908.
Okay.
Okay. And then this little corner space, 150 square feet that we have here, was established as the Town Pump on February 26, 1909. So there was November, December, January, and then February went by. The spot was vacant for 4 months until the original proprietors opened the Town Pump. When I go back and look in the historical archives, recent digital accessible, the ones that are accessible digitally, it shows that this building was possibly built in like 1903, the first floor. Then the second floor was built in 1904. And these aren't factual, these are newspaper articles.
Yeah.
And you know how rumors can get, things get twisted around. So these aren't factual statements. These are literally just information that had been dug up in archives. So then she went on to say that what she had heard before was that there was a what do you call the old thimble shops where you could get by sewing?
Yeah, I know what you
God,
mean.
what is the word she used? It's an old word. I forget what it is. But she had heard that there was like a sewing shop in this space. And then the people that owned the original proprietors of the town pump took the space over and put the town pump in. And there's no historical data to support when that
When that
happened.
transition happened.
Yes. So as far as the origin of the town pump goes, the only solid factor that we can go by is February the 9th, 1909, because that guy found that with the Fort Collins historian at that time. So that's what we went with, but it could be older than that. I don't know.
That's still 117 years.
We can live with
I mean,
117
yeah,
years.
I think
That's a long time.
yeah.
So, and this brick wall behind us here, behind this Odell Town Pump license plate sign, the brick and mortar is really the original wall that was built. And actually the ceiling and the back wall and the other side wall, that's all original. It was originally lath and plaster over red brick and mortar. So when you take the lath and plaster off, this red brick was exposed. I don't even know when it was exposed, but when it was exposed, you can see where it was chipped away at the very top. And when you take all that lath and plaster off, there's a beautiful old 117 or 120, 122-year-old brick wall under that lath and plaster. And I've actually thought about taking that off the
Exposing
wall,
it on both sides.
but it would take a long time and we'd have to sandblast it and seal it. And it might be worth it, but
I like the brick. I think it looks
I do
nice.
too.
Yeah.
I do too. And at one time, the city wanted to put a patio. When they put the pavers in the alleyway, they offered to pay us to put windows, like hydraulic windows,
Oh,
or piston opening windows in the brick so we could watch the alley because they wanted eyes in there. And I was like, I don't really want to do that because I don't want to change the feel in here. But a patio would be great. That's how we got the back alley patio.
So, with all that being said, 117 years, has it always been the town pump?
It has always been the town pump.
And where does that come from?
So I wasn't here when it happened.
No?
No. But from what I understand, the reason the town pump got its name was the original proprietors, when they bought this space and put the town pump in here, the corner of Trimble Court Alley and College Avenue there was a water trough and a hand pump. And it was that location is where, if you notice, College Avenue is really wide, as medium parking and then parking on both sides, and then it's got 2 lanes going down each direction, north and south. The reason they built it so wide, from what I understand, is so that horse and buggies could come in from the north and the south and do a U-turn at College and Mountain and not get jammed up. That's why it was built that wide. And when they did, this corner of Trimble Court Alley and College, where the hand pump and water trough was, is where people stopped to water their horses. Okay. And it was known as the town pump. So when the proprietors opened this space up, they named it the town pump, probably not because it was just catchy, but because that's what this corner was known as, and it would catch on quicker than anything
It
else.
was literally the town's pump.
The town
Okay.
pump.
So then that is a very applicable, the little pump next to the doors.
Exactly. And if you look around in here, there are like old cast iron pumps from way back when that either previous owners brought in here on display, or people donated to the bar because they found them at yard sales or in old barns or whatever it was. So when you come in and look around, you'll see even up above the bathrooms, you'll see some old pumps that were made way back when. That particular sign, I think most people know if you've been here, when you walk in, there's a big wooden sign right in front of you at the door when you walk in. Danny Rogers, one of the owners in the 1970s, he had that built. And here we go with history again. The reason the carvings and the establishment date, year of date on it says 1936. I've talked to Danny about this. It's because he could not find any archives that dated back beyond 1936.
So that was his safe conservative date there.
Correct. And to go along with a character that's always been here at the town pump, he is so honest,
Yeah.
full of integrity. He didn't want people to think he was lying about it. So he put 1936. But he and I have talked about this many times, and regressing a little bit. As of right now, there are only, I think, three or four owners that are still alive. There were 10 owners in totality. In 117 or 120 years, there were 10 owners at the town pump. There was actually a dual proprietorship at one time where I think there were two brothers that owned it. So we'll classify that as one ownership. But as far as I know, there have been 10 owners at the town pump, including myself. And Harold Schmidt, no, I'm sorry, Gary Kimsey, Danny Rogers, myself, Jake Latondras, and I think we're the only three that are still alive that have had ownership in the town pump. Yeah. And the logo, this license plate logo that you see stamped, branded on the podcast and everywhere on t-shirts, has been all over the world. That came from Dennis Newland, who I bought the bar from. He owned it from 1981, 2000, which is when I bought it. And he used the license plate, which as far as we know, was the very first Colorado license plate brand for a business in the state. Now, so many people use the license plate in their branding logos or wherever, but the town pump was the first place to do it. And we have to credit that to Dennis Newland, who owned this place for 18 years. And he's my mentor.
Oh, I mean, the town pump has been all over the world. I mean, even just on the wall, there's photos of people wearing sweatshirts in Paris and Rome and Antarctica. I mean, I know when I went to Portugal, I took stickers with me and put them all over like poles and things. And I know people love to do that and, sharing that and, giving that exposure. And it's very cool to kind of see it out and people recognize it.
Dude, I was on the beach in Costa Rica one time wearing a town pump t-shirt, and the guy walking down the beach goes, "Is that the town pump in Fort Collins?" And I'll tell you a couple more stories. I was at the base of Mount Fuji in Japan, and there's a lake at the base of it, and there's a public restroom there. I was waiting to go into the restroom, and a guy walked out in a CSU football hoodie, and I was wearing a town pump
Oh
hoodie,
my
and
God.
we connected, and we were in freaking Japan. Man, yeah. And you hear stories. There are pictures of people, like you said, in Antarctica, at Stonehenge, in Baghdad, Iraq, in London, out in the desert. I don't even know where else, man. If you look around here, when you come in, this place is it's an experience. It's not just a bar. It's an experience because of its age and all the history here. When you start looking around, I've been here for almost 36 years, and I still come in and find either new things on the wall that I haven't noticed before, particularly the stickers, or I see things that I haven't noticed in a long time
Yeah.
that bring back old memories.
Every time you come in here, you'll find something new. People love coming in and, just getting lost in it all. It really is something.
The bumper stickers. So you were asking earlier off camera about the stickers, all the stickers on the walls. That really started in 1981 or 1982 when he actually built the back bar. People don't realize this. And a lot of people, employees, or I should say staff and customers, regulars, don't like to see changing. Everyone's scared of change. But when you go back and look at the old photos that we have in our town pump vault, you'll see old pictures that don't even look like the town pump. Like the back wall was all made out of, at one time, rough cut pine, ponderosa pine.
Oh, okay.
There was a bench over in that corner, and that entire wall over there by the window was all rough cut pine and had shelving on it. Actually, part of the back bar was over here where our security panel is. And Dennis came in and removed all that stuff, built the bar himself. He was a carpenter. So he actually built the bar himself, the bar top, the back bar, the tap box that we have, all that stuff. Even when I came here in 1990, in May of 1990, our tap handles were right there where the condiment tray is over the ice machine.
Oh,
That's where the taps were.
okay.
And at that time, we only served like Coors Original, maybe Coors Light, Coors Gold, I think it was called. We had Michelob Dark and PBR Dark. That was our lineup. That was way before the craft brewing industry got fired up and did what it did back in the early 90s. So, a lot has changed. And when Dennis built the back bar, he started putting bumper stickers, or he had customers that came in and put bumper stickers. I'm old enough to where my eyes are so bad that I can't read the bumper sticker beside the Zappa for president. What does that say?
My mother thinks I'm in college.
I believe that was the very first bumper sticker put up. It was either that one or Zappa for president that was put up in here in the early 90s. And that became a trendy, nostalgic thing for people to bring in funny and offensive bumper stickers. And back then in in the early 1980s, political correctness was way different than it is now. Dennis's rule was if it's not offensive, don't even bother to bring it in because it's not going up. That's just how, that's just how the town bump is. We don't, and that really sort of characterizes who we are. We don't fall into the rabbit hole that politics can suck you into. We're all about everybody, everything's a balance in here. If you can't laugh at yourself, then what are you going to
What are we
laugh
doing?
at?
Yeah.
What are you going to laugh at?
Yeah. No, some of these bumper stickers, you read them and you're like, what? You're like, wow. Like, how is that even? There's some funny ones.
I mean, there was a time where that was our drawing, the bumper stickers. Before we were known as the first place to sold fat tire and all that stuff, people would come in or talk about and go, man, we just came in to read the bumper stickers.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat like the comments in social media posts now. People go in to read, like you'll see a comment in a post that says, "I'm just here for the comments."
Yeah.
That's
I'm
what's
just here for the
happens.
bumper stickers.
That's the old school OG. I'm just here for the bumper stickers. I'm just here for the comments. So yeah, that's how that all started.
Yeah, there's a bunch up on that wall. I mean, from the bumper stickers to the foreign currency. I mean, everything.
I like the one that says, "You want to get laid? Crawl up a chicken's ass and wait." That's
I don't
pretty
even know
funny.
where that one is.
It's over there somewhere. I mean, there have been so many bumper stickers put up in here. And again, when you start looking up at things like the armadillo, the old pitcher with the rubber or the fake beer and beer head in it, the Playboy poster and the Yoda poster is a completely different whole entire story within itself, because Dennis put that up in here because he was a big reader and he wanted people, like he wanted that to be influenced on people that came in here to drink. He wanted people to understand that reading was really important. So after Star Wars came out, he put that Yoda read poster up in here. And then we started seeing little Yoda statues, and we even had a guy named Bear who brought an actual Yoda replica. It was an official Star Wars doll, if you will. It was a replica of Yoda, and it was so real. Like it was Yoda.
Yeah.
And it sat up there where the armadillo is for years, probably 10 years. And he used to get mad. He would come in every so often. He would get mad if it had too much dust on it, because we weren't taking care of Yoda. So that was like a big deal. And then when I think he moved, changed locations or something, and he wanted to take Yoda back. So he took that Yoda back But now we have the Yoda on the cash register, and when you look around, there's little bitty
Little
Yodas and the
Yodas
stickers.
throughout.
There's Yodas. So may the force be with you. God bless. This is just really frustrating. I'm so sorry. I don't even know how to control this anymore.
It's like, oh, it's only
I
sometimes,
know
you
it's
know?
like it does it on its own, which is real frustrating. So may the force be with you. We are protected by Yoda, who is is the wisest soul in the universe, because we're not just talking about Earth here.
Yeah. Well, it was just this month in May. I pulled out like a cranberry juice. I was working the bar and the date on it said May the 4th.
Right.
And it was just, I
That's
knew
the
who
new Star
worked.
Wars
Yep.
Day,
And that's
right?
the Star Wars Day. And I was like, oh, yep, it's that day.
May the fourth
Yep.
be with you. So we have something new to party about next year. Don't forget the day before Cinco de Mayo is May the 4th. What else? What else can we talk about in here as far as history goes?
Oh, what about the Jello shot?
That is a really, really great question.
Was that a part of the bar when you were brought on as a bartender?
Yes, that was already here. So here's the story. When Dennis bought the bar in 1981, this was actually a biker bar, and it had been completely dominated by Hell's Angels. The notorious Hell's Angels, not really today's. And I'm not belittling today's Hell's Angels, so don't get all upset. Come down here and
I'll
try to
show
hurt
you
me.
Hell's
Yeah.
Angels.
But it was way more notorious back then. And Dennis knew when he bought this bar, he bought it at a bargain price because it was dying. It was a dying business because the Hells Angels controlled everything in him. And so he boldly put a sign up on the front door that said no colors, which has a completely different connotation back then than it does now. Colors
Yeah.
mean something completely different. So when he put the sign up that said no colors, that meant no biker gangs, no bikers. We're done with that. If we have to kill the business, we're going to do that because it's a dead business as it is anyway. So he successfully ran the Hells Angels off from the town pump. And to rebuild the business, he knew some people in the SAE fraternity at CSU, and he went to them and he said he offered them a keg, not free, but at a discounted rate. He offered them happy hour prices out of that keg if they would bring more people that they knew into the town pump, specifically
Yeah.
for the Friday afternoon club, which he called the FAC. And I let that go. I let that little coin phrase go. But up until probably, I don't know, mid 2000s, like 2005, 2006, our Friday afternoon happy hour was known as the FAC Club. And we had like old hippies from Risk Canyon and up the Pooter Canyon and up the Big Thompson Canyon in Masonville, up around Horsetooth, behind Horsetooth. I think it's Redstone Canyon up there. People came to the town pump because they knew about the town pump long ago, and those were the Friday afternoon club drinkers in here. And that was really the core of the town pump business as far as the clientele. That's what everything else revolved around the FAC.
Well, I mean, also how scary for Dennis, to have the bar and then put your foot down in that aspect of knowing that your business is going to change so much from, setting some boundaries with your clientele is, but wanting to change it for the better and knowing that you're going to take a hit for that. But in the long run, it'll hopefully pay out. And I'm sure that was hard and difficult and scary at times. And I've never met the man, but yeah, so that's admirable to do.
And that really, what you just described, not knowing him, was a lot about who he was. He was a very simple man. He hated bureaucracy. He hated government. He didn't want the government to control what he did in what he called his own private business that he invested in. So he was that kind of guy. But he knew he was a very simple visionary too. And he knew that, hey, customer service was number one. Okay. Integrity was number one. Clientele was number one. Everything was number one on his list of things that would make a small bar like this successful. And he is the person that told me and really set the rails for the track for the Town Pump train to stay on. I mean, Danny Rogers, Gary Kinsey, Harold Schmear, all those people way back when, as far as I know, I didn't know them personally, but as far as back as I've been told, mostly by Dennis and Danny Rogers, because those are my two closest friends in terms of old owners of the Town Pump. They're the ones that would tell me that this place has always been like it is today, where when you come in here and you leave, it's the most honest bar in town. We just that's how we thrive. We thrive on integrity and history and the truth.
Absolutely. I mean, when I tell people that I work here, they're like, "Oh, that's the Cheers bar." They're like, "That is such a regular, committed." I think other businesses almost aspire for that sense of community that we have here and everything that comes with that in that realm and what that has to offer. I mean, I know in a restaurant or a bar up in town, there above the bathrooms, it says, "One day I want to grow up to be the town pump bathrooms."
Awesome.
And it's just so funny. And I think it's just those little things I think that people really admire. And, it comes back to the core values of the business.
I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why Ken Jordan and Jeff Levish brought their idea of New Belgium Brewing Company, the very first fat tire. I believe that's why they asked Dennis, and I look back at the date on this. It was June the 28th, 1991, when we first poured the very first pint of fat tire
Okay.
in the Town Pump, which is the very first pint of fat tire ever sold on the retail market. Now, just so people know, and we're very clear about this in our claim, we know this to be true. You can ask Ken Jordan, you can ask Jeff, you can ask anyone that's been there since a New Belgium Brewing Company or New Belgium Brewing Company was established, that we were the very first account. We know that. And they had won gold medals in beer festivals out in California and Oregon and the Pacific Northwest and even on the Western Slope in Colorado. It was an award-winning amber ale. And once they got licensed to sell it on the retail market for distribution, we were the first account. And again, it was June 28th, 1991. I have a poster in my bar, in my basement, at my house.
That's solidified. That's the date.
I sent that picture.
Yeah.
I sent that picture to New Belgium yesterday just so they know, because people don't realize this, but we're about to get the only keg in Old Town of the original fat tire recipe. We're going to be the only ones to have it. And come June, the first week of June, we're going to tap that in here and have a fat tire party.
Heck yeah.
How's
A
that
little
sound?
fat tire month, a little homage to that. If it
Really?
lasts the month, that cake won't last.
No way. I'll be surprised if it lasts 3
Yeah.
days, to be honest.
I know people know that New Belgium is already bottling. I think
Yeah.
they decided to bottle the old traditional fat tire, and people are asking about it. When people come in, they're like, "Oh, is that the new fat tire?" Not yet.
Yeah.
It's coming.
So it's the first week of June.
first
We've
week of June.
established that. So yeah, that's how the whole and so Ken Jordan, the co-founder of New Belgium Brewing Company, I believe from the story that I heard from her and or Dennis, was they were at a party, a private party at a home, and there was a bonfire there. I remember that. And Kim and Dennis had run into each other, and Kim had bartended here, I believe, in like 1977 or 1978. She was a bartender here at the Town Pump.
It's a small town.
It is. And as I recall, Kim, if you see this, then you need to contact me to clarify, because I'm just telling it like I heard it. From what I recall, Kim dated Dennis for a short period of time, but they had remained friends after that. So when she ran into him at a party, she asked him if he would entertain helping them launch this new beer they had, an amber ale called the Fat Tire. And she told him the story about renting the cruiser bikes in Belgium and riding around from different monasteries, getting these old beer recipes from the 1550s from the 1550s, and they brought back this recipe for this sweet malty amber ale, and they named it Fat Tire because that's where their journey came from, was on those fat tired cruiser bikes in Belgium, and
Oh,
that's how the whole thing started.
wow.
The whole thing.
I never knew that.
And that's why the original logo has that bike on it, that cruiser bike. It's all about that bike and follow your folly. That was their folly, to go to Belgium, go to these monasteries and get these old recipes from the old monks way back when they were brewing home brews. And that was their folly when they brought it back, and they ran a campaign ad on it back in the early 19 and mid 1990s called Follow Your Folly. I remember the video. I still have a DVD of the very first um, televised New Belgian Brewing Company commercial that they ran during the Super Bowl that year. And it was
Whoa,
like I don't remember, but it was like 1994, 95, 96, something like that. I still have that
that's
DVD.
gold.
It is gold. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So anyway, at that time, we were serving like 3 Coors products, maybe Miller High Life or some
Sure.
a gold beer, and then we had Michelob Dark, and we had PBR Dark.
Now
Yeah,
what?
we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. The PBR Dark. So back then, we had 2 kinds of beer. We had 3 kinds of beer. We had cold beer, we had domestic beer or light beer, and we had dark beer. That's all we had.
Okay.
There was no amber ale, no chocolate stout, no wheat, there was certainly no IPA at the time.
What did you consider a dark beer?
Anything that was darker
So
than light,
is that
like daylight and dark.
yeah, it's not like it was a barrel-aged stout
If it wasn't
or
yellow, it was
yeah.
dark. And so through that, we were selling a lot of Michelob Dark and PBR Dark, and I still have the PBR Dark tap handle in the employee safe downstairs. So because we were doing well with that, when Kim approached Dennis about selling this new beer they had, Fat Tire, he was like, if you knew Dennis, you would laugh at this. He was like, yeah, I think we could probably try that. We're selling quite a bit of that dark beer now. Well, let's just give it a shot. Remember Kim and Jeff pulling up in the alley before it was a cobblestone or paver alley, and you could drive down it. Like the delivery trucks used to park in the alley. Okay. And they pulled up to the back door. There was no patio. They were in a wood panel station wagon, like National Lampoon's Vacation. And they popped the hatch in the back, and I can still hear the sound of that keg hitting the concrete in the alleyway. Ding.
Oh,
And then we rolled it in here, and like 2 of us took it downstairs and we tapped it, and the rest is history.
heck yeah.
That's how Fat Tire
I
started.
got some chills. Wow.
How cool
That's
is
a
that?
cool story.
And people love that. So we have the chalkboard on the front window that you know states that we were the very first establishment
Yeah.
to sell Fat Tire and the first New Belgium account. You would not be surprised by this, but people watching might be surprised about how often people walk by on a busy day when there's a lot of foot traffic, and they stop in front of the bar and read that chalkboard and go, oh, wow. And they decide to come in. Then once you come into this place, that's where your experience starts, right? You walk in and you go, now this reminds me of a bar back home.
Yep, this makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's yeah. That sign out front, I think that catches a lot of attention. And that's one of the talking points that people come in, especially visitors in town or first time, maybe they've lived in town for 10 years and it's their first time here. That is one of the things that I lead with, that we've served the first Fat Tire ever on draft. And that's something. I mean,
Yeah, it's a huge part of the Fort Collins culture. As we've talked about before, it's beer, bikes, music, and dogs. Those 4 pillars are the 4 entertaining values that Fort Collins is known for. And Fat Tire really, they didn't start it because there was a brewery called HC Burger in here before New Belgium was established, which doesn't exist anymore. But Fat Tire was definitely the nail that got hammered into the wood.
yeah, that was the catalyst of it all.
That was
Yeah.
the magic carpet that carried the craft brewing industry off into the sunset for Fort Collins. Yeah. And I don't know that did I run off on a tangent when we started talking about Jello shot.
Well, I was gonna circle back. I
Okay.
was like, so beer,
Yeah.
now Jellos.
Yeah.
Because it was how the dentists getting rid of, changing the business and, bringing in new people and clientele and opening up that Friday afternoon club and kind of what that looked like.
Right. So going back to the FAC, the Friday Afternoon Club, and the SAE fraternity.
I think we could brand AC. I think we could get that
Oh,
back going.
oh yeah.
People love that.
Yeah, we need to fire
That's
that
fun.
one up.
Yeah.
And Katie would love that because she's our FAC
Uh-huh.
bartender.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Katie
Yep.
too. So when Dennis went to his friends at the SAE fraternity at CSU and offered them a discounted keg if they would help bring business into the bar because it was dying. One of the students, one of the fraternity brothers at the SA fraternity, was a marketing major, undergraduate marketing major. And from what I was not here when this happened, but Dennis told me this was in 1981 or 1982. Dennis told me that the marketing student had mentioned to him that his marketing professor, when they were talking about return on investment and having products that had a high turnaround rate that were inexpensive or reasonably priced so that you would draw in masses of people, he used Jello shots and toxic cherries as his example of something that he experienced in some bar wherever he came from. I have no idea. Don't know, don't claim to know. But Dennis was like, oh yeah. And if you know Dennis, again, that's how he talked. He goes, oh yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
And just kind of ran with it.
And I don't know how
Just gave it a go.
he just ran with it. Again, I wasn't here.
Yeah.
That was 10 years, 9 years before my time. But from what I understand, and I know that this is true because it's not like our Jello shots took off 5 years ago. I've been here for 36 years and I've never not known the town pump to be infamous or very famous for toxic cherries and Jello shots. Back then, when I first started working here, it was way more about Jello shots than it was toxic cherries. And now, since we've integrated the two products into toxic Jellos, which is a Jello shot with a toxic cherry on top, that has become our staple product at the town pump. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, there's all different names for it too. I mean, people come in and call it something different all the time. But yeah, it's the Jello, the cherry, the combo. But yeah, I mean, exactly to what that point was. I think it's a quick, it's an easy, it's fun. People like to do it. So I think that was a good idea on his part there, taking that and running with it.
I mean, I think people, people actually come in when I'm at the gym, Genesis, and I'm at a store or wherever I am, and especially in Fort Collins, even out of state. Let's just go that far. I can honestly say this: if I'm wearing my town pump like a hat or my logo on a hoodie or T-shirt,
Jello shots.
they go, "Oh yeah, the town pump Jello shots or toxic cherries."
Yeah.
Those are the first thing people say. It has been an unbelievably successful product that we've sold, and now you know kind of the history of where that came from. There are other bars around town sell Jello shots, but there's nothing like the Jello shot experience as you get at the town hall, because we are the OG in Fort Collins. Let's just get that clear right now.
How many Jello shots do you think you've made in your time here?
Made?
Yeah. 'Cause even I've only been here for 4 years, and I think I'm in the thousands. I think on a Saturday day.
Thousands, probably hundreds.
Yeah.
Tens, at least tens of thousands from yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think on a Saturday, I can make a couple hundred in just one Saturday.
Yeah.
Graduation, FOCO MX, Tour de Fat. People will come in and they'll sit at the bar and they'll be like, they'll see me do one container and I'll put it in the fridge and I'll get out another and I'll put it in the fridge. They're like, how many are you doing? I'm like, this is just going to get us through today.
Right. There was a time when I first bought the town pump, which Jello shots were already very well established. But there was a time I remember when we were selling at least 500 Jello shots every Friday and every Saturday night. 500. Like, it was insane because back then we were the only people in town. I think there's a couple other bars now that sell them, and it's kind of, eating into that market share. We still sell a lot. Don't get us wrong. I mean, we sell a lot of Jello shots, but There was a time at peak sales where, we would sell, let's see, that's 1,000 on Friday and Saturday. So let's just go far as saying we probably sold 2,000 Jello shots a week.
Goodness.
So
Yep.
2,000 times 52, what is that?
Oh,
100. That's 104. Is that right?
yeah.
104,000 Jello shots a year. And you go back to 1981 when it started, they probably didn't sell as many, but let's just say they did. Just do the math. You go 1981, 91, 2001, 2011, 2021, so 40. So let's say 45. Let's just estimate it, 45 years, 100,000, that's what, 4.5 million Jello shots. And don't think that, we've got money coming out of our ears because of Jello, because we don't. That's just the number that we've sold over a 45-year period.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's a lot. That's a lot of shot glasses to clean with Jello in it.
And if there's anyone out there from the Jello brand that's watching this or listening to this that might know who might have sold more Jello shots than us ever, or Jello, I'm sorry, not Jello shots, period. I mean, I buy $200 worth of Jello every time I order Jello.
Yeah, you'll send pictures sometimes in our team Slack of the cart with all just the stacks
Yeah.
of Jello in
It's
it.
like a brick wall of
Yeah.
Jello. That's pretty funny. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about it a lot, Sam. Jello, anywhere I see Jello, even if it's at like birthday parties for my kids or whatever that they go to, when I see Jello, the first thing I think of is Jello shots.
Yep.
So, yeah, so that's the history of the Jello shots. The toxic cherries came in when the Jello shots did, basically at the same time. And there was a time after I bought the bar in 2000 where we had toxic orange slices, and
Yeah.
we sold the crap out of them. Then I had a fruit scoop, like an ice cream scoop, and we made watermelon balls.
Ooh.
And so we sold watermelon balls at one time. The problem with them is we put them in jars that were too big, so they would get soft and go bad really quickly. So we had to ditch that idea. The oranges sold well for, I would say, about 10 to 12 years. And then for some reason that kind of petered off. So we don't do that anymore. But
I think the oranges were tough. I mean, they were great. I loved in a little vodka soda, add that orange in there. But also, I mean, the toxic part of it comes from, it's not just vodka, it's Everclear that it's soaked in. And it's not just soaking for a day, it's soaking for some time there. I think the oranges had way more surface value where you bite into that orange and you'd be like, whew,
yeah,
that's strong. That'll put, yeah.
I used to call it the Jello fruit salad. That's how the whole toxic or the whole Jello, all right, well, what do we call it? Toxic Jello. That's how it started, because we started it with fruit salad. We would have a watermelon ball, an orange slice, a toxic cherry, and a Jello shot. That was the Jello fruit salad.
And did you put all the fruit on top of the Jello?
Yeah, we tried
on a skewer, or
yeah, we would toothpick it on there like a Bloody Mary cocktail.
Gosh, that sounds good.
It was really cool. We actually had pineapple rings that you could buy, the canned pineapple rings. We would cut those in half and soak those in rum. So we had pineapple slices. We've tried so many things. And if you look at that menu up on the wall, the old Coors and Coors Light menu, I don't think it's still up there, but we had a product up there called a dumb look. And people would come in and go, "What's a dumb look?" And the bartenders that were trained to say, "Well, they're $2. You want one?" And you can't know what it is until you buy one. So they would hand over $2, and then the bartender would do something like and give them a dumb look. So we had that. We actually sold dumb looks in here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Those signs though, classic. I'll have people that'll come in that'll look at those signs. And I'm like, well, what are you looking for? I'm like, they don't change very often. I'm like, let's talk about it here. Let's get some conversation rather than looking at that sign. That sign's more historical purposes.
It's like an old gas station that might pass by in the desert in Nevada.
Yeah.
It's all dilapidated, and the sign still says $1.30 for gas.
I'm like, I don't know how many times that's changed since I've been here, but what are you looking for?
Yeah. And so, as we talk about that menu, that's where the whole pickled egg phenomenon came in. And as we talked about before off camera, pickled eggs, pickled pig's feet, dried jerky, be it beef or pork or elk or deer or whatever, were staples and they were dietary staples for the military when they were here back in the early 1900s. They were staples as part of the Oregon Trail, the pioneers that came out west from wherever it was, Texas or Louisiana. And
It makes
so
sense. It would stay. It wouldn't.
correct. Actually had at one time back in the 1990s, and I think dentists started that in the 1980s. We had pickled eggs, we had pickled pig's feet, we had pickled pig's ears, we had pickled pig's lips, and
Okay.
we had pickled sausages, and then we had dry jerky. And those were things that people bought. I'll guarantee you right now that as true as I'm sitting here in this chair in front of you, that I cleaned up more pickled pig's lips off the floor than people ate
Ugh.
because they would buy them for their friends as a joke, and then they'd end up on the floor. Yeah.
Have you had one?
No.
No?
No.
Never ever.
No, they had that weird jelly stuff. It's like kind of gross shit.
Ooh.
I may have had 1 or 5 too many shots in here when I was a young kid and I could handle that stuff. I may have tried it way back when, but I just don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our food menu. And that started, or that sort of supplemented what Dennis had in here for years, which was a chili bowl.
Mm.
It was a crock pot. He made homemade chili every single day. And we had, a hot dog steamer, a bun steamer, and a hot dog roller that cooked hot dogs. And it was on the back bar before we had the high end bourbons and tequilas and scotches. That's where the hot dogs stand was.
Like a food permit at one point for that?
No,
Like
no, we've always been. Yeah, we still operate on the original premise of the original liquor license, which was actually where that's where the guy found the born on date for the town pump, which was the original liquor license, which said um I'm sorry, February 26, 1909, and it was a billiards license. And of course, the town pump's too small for a pool table, but back then the liquor license was known as a billiards license. Going back to that, what did you ask me?
if there was like a food permit at one point, or if,
Yeah.
We
No,
legally
so
sold food.
yeah, so the billiards license sort of transformed into a tavern license, which is what we still operate on today. And the tavern license doesn't necessarily require us to have a kitchen to serve food. We just have to have perishable foods available to customers that are consuming alcohol. So
Are there many places like that exist?
not many. I don't even know. I think you can still get a tavern license, but you have to do a lot of explaining
Okay.
because it's just alcohol. And for that reason, we're grandfathered.
Yeah.
The reason why our bathrooms are the way they are, as small as they are, is because we're grandfathered in. And unless we were to change something structural inside the town pump, we'll remain grandfathered on our license. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, getting back to the signs, I just noticed there's no the $1 cigs are gone.
God, that's a story episode in itself. The cigarettes in here, the amount of smoke that used to exist in the town pump was astonishing. Like I used to tell people, I used to say it was so cloudy in here, you would think it was going to start raining because there was so much smoke in here.
And then eating too. But I mean, it was the norm then. It
Yeah.
was so it's what you knew. It was
Yeah.
how you lived. You go out to eat, people were smoking and
You'd come back smelling like smoke.
yeah.
If you didn't take a shower, you'd wake up and then your bed, your sheets,
Mm.
your pillow would smell like smoke. It was terribly unhealthy.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, no more single cigs. That was something that when I started that there were just people that would come just for those singles.
Well, what happened was as cigarettes or tobacco taxes increased and the prices of tobacco increased, the cost of a single cigarette increased and people started taking advantage of that, like they were just thought of and sort of taken for granted as bar
Yeah.
cigarettes. And I'm like, this makes no sense whatsoever. Like, A, they can buy their own cigarettes if they want a cigarette. B, I'm providing cigarettes that cost literally, I mean, now they're like, they're 50 cents a piece
Yeah.
because they're basically $10 to $12 a pack. So they're anywhere from 50. I mean, in here, we sell them for $15 a pack, which is just insane.
Insane. But it's the convenience. People don't care at all. They're like, yeah, it's
That
about the
blows my
experience.
mind.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
And you know, we have to drive to go get them because we can't order them online.
Yep.
It costs money to go get them, to stock them, to serve them, all that stuff. So we're not making that much money off the cigarettes.
Yeah, I mean, and you're just buying them straight out. It's not like
We don't get a discount. We do
Yeah.
not. Right now, I'm here to tell you, we do not. And people also think that we get big discounts on our liquor kegs. We don't. We just sell it to the consumer on a retail platform, but it's not legal for us. I mean, we might get breaks on cases of whatever if we buy 3 of something, and distributors run specials on things where we might get a discount on a bottle or two. But for the most part, you can probably go to the liquor store and buy liquor cheaper than I can buy through my wholesale distributors. And that's pretty wild. That is one of those old wives' tales that is false in the bar business, that, you know, we can get liquor cheaper than other people can. That's not true. It's not true. People don't understand how much money we spend on liquor on a weekly basis.
I hear kegs somewhere.
Yeah, there's I think it's the
Odell?
the high country. So what else? There's way more history here. The patio. For years, I asked the city after I became owner of the town pub. I for years went to the city and asked for a patio.
Is this front patio or side patio?
The side patio was easy because the city wanted that patio in there, so
Egress purposes?
So we would have eyes on the alleyway, because the alleyway was basically a urinal. When it was dark, there was no street lights, there were no planters, pots in the alley,
Yeah.
and it was a dark place with little places you could hide and doorways. This is gonna sound gross. I don't remember what year it was, but before we had the back patio, when I was bartending at closing one night, and it was probably like a Tuesday or Wednesday night, it wasn't that busy. I opened the back door to take the trash out, and there was a girl taking a shit on the back step
Oh,
of the town
classy.
pump. So I opened the door, and you know, the back door opens to
Yeah.
the inside, and I opened it, and she's just sitting there, and her duty's on the step. And she jumps up and pulls her pants up.
Ugh.
And I'm like, do you really have to, do you realize that I have to clean that up?
Yeah.
And her boyfriend ends up getting mad at me. Like, he goes off on me. They've had 1 or 5 too many
Sure.
drinks. He gets mad at me and starts to fight. Like, he picks up a brick. There's a concrete brick on top of the garbage dumpster to keep the wind from blowing it up and blowing our trash around. He picks this center block. There was a half of a center block up off the garbage bin and throws it at me. So I pushed. I like caught it and pushed it. I had a cut on my hand from that center block. And we ended up getting in a fight.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All over this woman
Oh,
taking a shit in the,
I
on the
mean,
back steps.
seriously.
Goodness.
These are the kinds of stories that make the town pump what it is.
He's like, this is your problem, man.
So the guy, I'll finish the story. Don't take this the wrong way, 'cause I'm not talking about my feelings at all. But I blacked the guy's eye, and it was swollen shut, and I felt so bad. He started crying, and I felt so bad for him. I came inside. I got a plastic grocery bag, and filled it with ice, and took it back outside and sat him down. I cleaned the poopy up off the step. I sat him down on the step above that, and I gave him his ice. And I said, just put this on your eye, man. I'm really sorry. I didn't want that to happen.
Well, you know,
These
nothing
stories.
surprises me.
These stories, the bartending stories, yeah.
So patios.
Yeah, so
So-
patios, the front patio, for years, I went to the city and asked for patio space in the front. What I really wanted was a wraparound patio
Mhm.
that came from the alley, and they said no because the fire escape for the upstairs is on the outside wall,
And that
and
would
it
restrict
can't
that.
legally, based on fire code, that that step ladder can't come down in the patio because then you got to jump a rail,
Yeah.
even if it is neat.
Yeah.
So that was null and void. They measured it where the step pendulum's down and mark that off, and that's where the patio ends in the alleyway. So then I'm like, well, how do I get a front patio? Because there was one bike rack on the sidewalk in front of the town pump where everybody locked their bikes up when they came in the bar. So, I mean, it was a very beneficial bike rack. However, that prevented us from having a 7.5 foot traffic space between where the patio would extend out into the sidewalk and where that bike rack was relative to the end of the sidewalk. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We can't move why don't we just tell people they can lock their bikes to the patio? Like, is that an okay
Yeah.
compromise? No,
No.
that's not going to happen. So, and it was a city bike rack provided. It had a City of Fort Collins
Yeah.
sticker on it. It was provided by that. So then when COVID happened, I went to who was then the assistant city clerk, Amy Jensen, is one of my favorite people in the city government of Fort Collins. She was the assistant city clerk for 29 years and was extremely helpful in so many things to licensees in Fort Collins. I went to her with my liquor license during COVID, the height of COVID, and I said, how am I supposed to remove this? I have no business.
Yeah.
Like, I have no patio. I have a little patio in the alleyway. Everybody else is getting concrete dividers
Yep.
and they're building these
Those
open
pods.
spaces with
Mhm.
pods. And I'm like,
And we're the smallest bar
we are
out.
the smallest
Mm,
bar from here to
yeah.
Mars.
And at that point, it was 6 feet social distancing.
6 foot social distancing. We could
That would be
honestly,
full 4 people.
we had to diagonal tables and chairs in here just to get 6 feet between people.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous. We could get 8 people in the bar. And I was in tears. I went to Amy Jensen. I was in tears. And I said, I mean, can we move the bike rack? And she called city engineering and they called someone else and got approval like in 36 hours. Wow. And then we had an engineer come out, take measurements. They removed the bike rack. I might start crying about this
Yeah.
because it
That
was,
changed a lot.
oh, it was so helpful. When we were struggling, I thought the town pump was going to go out. I thought, oh, with all this history, 107, there's 112 years of history back then, I was going to be the owner that sank the ship. And that was a heavy, heavy
Yeah.
burden on my back. That was a huge monkey on my back. Sleepless nights, lots of tears.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, and it's out of your control too. I mean, these are things that are just happening in the world and town. And how am I supposed to manage this? How do I navigate
How do
this
I do this
unknown
the right
territory?
way?
Yeah.
How do I do this so that we're doing this the right way, like you said, in known territory? And to the city of Fort Collins's credit, they came out here and removed the bike rack. I had a builder, or my general manager that I knew, a welder that would build us a rail. So he came out, took some measurements, popped the rail up, and I think probably within 3 days, we had a functioning patio. And while that didn't save the business, it relieved stress and it added, now that COVID is over and we're well past it, it's part of our draw because people can go sit on the front patio and in the alley
Yeah.
and it strikes curiosity. Curiosity kills the cat. They walk in, they look around, boom, they're town pumpers
Yeah.
after that.
I think that patio is great. The sun in the evening coming down, people love that front patio.
Can I tell you the best thing about that patio? Before the patio was here, we had to clean those windows every single day because
Oh,
people would come in and mash their face on the glass to look inside
yeah.
because there's a reflection from the street. And we had lipstick and nose and cheek and chin marks
Mm.
and hand marks where they would come up and put their face on the window to look in. And we had to clean that thing every day. Now that we have that
That
space,
separation.
people walk by, they stop at the rail,
Yep.
but we hardly ever have face oil stick prints on the window anymore. So
I've never cleaned that.
thank goodness for that patio.
Wow. That's great.
What else, man? The floor, the floor before the current floor that we have in here is a 3/4 inch hickory stained floor. Before that, it was a patchwork of plywood, old tongue and groove from at least the 1930s. It was a very, very old floor. It got really soft and brittle. So during COVID, when we had nothing better to do, and we used part of the GoFundMe funds that came in. We made the announcement. Our goal was like X amount of dollars,
Sure.
and we exceeded that by, I think, 30 or 40%. It was so it was so generous of everyone to provide help when we really needed it. And we had some extra funds left over. So we made an announcement on social media that we're going to use those extra funds to replace the floor in here so that since it saved the bar, we would add 100-year floor in here to keep the town pump business going for another 100 years. That was the whole premise behind getting a new floor in here. That's what we did. But before that, you should have seen this Fabrizio. I mean, it looked like a quilt made out of
Oh, just
30
all kind
quilts,
of put together and
t-shirts.
the odds and
Yeah,
yeah, and then,
yeah,
I mean, the only day we close is January 1st every
correct.
year to will
To
we reseal
resurface,
them or
resurface.
yeah.
Yeah, reseal. You may sand it down and put a new coat of polyurethane on it. So we take care of the floor. The other thing that we missed that I really like to talk about is the history of music and bluegrass
Mm.
that took off in the town pump. Danny Rogers, and hopefully we can have him as a guest here sometime. He was one of the former owners who is still alive today and doing well, and is a really, really great guy. He told me he owned the bar like for 4 years in the mid 1970s, maybe 1972 to 1976, the bicentennial year. And we had T-shirts up on the wall in a plastic showcase that have bluegrass and horseshoe pit contests that they had in the alleyway of the town pump back in the 1970s. And they had bluegrass pickers that came in here, a band particularly known as the Bluegrass Patriots, which were a part of the genre or culture of music today known as Rocky Mountain Bluegrass. There's Southern Bluegrass, Kentucky Bluegrass, and there's Rocky Mountain Bluegrass.
Okay.
And from what Danny Rogers told me, the conglomerate of bluegrass pickers here in Fort Collins and up Risk Canyon and those surrounding foothills used to come to the town pump and have pick jams. And that is where the genre of Rocky Mountain Bluegrass started, right here in Fort Collins, right here in the town pump in Fort Collins, Colorado. So while people may not really understand or know that Rocky Mountain Bluegrass is its own culture and genre, it is. If you go look it up and look up the Bluegrass Patriots, you'll see Danny Rogers was one of the members of that band. And you'll see I think there's still some old pictures of them picking bluegrass at the town pump.
I had somebody tell me about this a week or two ago, and that there used to be bluegrass music here. And I wasn't sure if they were talking about inside or was this in the alleyway? Where did this?
Right there in that corner.
Yeah.
That's where that wooden bench I was telling you about earlier and the rough cut pine was. They would set up right there. And about, I think, I think it might have been 17 years ago when we turned 100. We had some former members of the Bluegrass Patriots that still live around here come in and pick bluegrass. It was one of the most. We're going to do that again.
Yeah.
We are going to do that again. So any of you Bluegrass Patriots out there that are watching this, just understand you're coming back to the town because that was one of the most hair-raising, chilling memories that I've ever had in the town pump was watching and listening to those guys pick their banjos and strum their violins at the top of them. That was so
I'm sure it takes you back, I mean, it just, like, transports you to just a different time, and
that's it.
because everything here is also so timeless, I mean, it's just so classic, and it's just, it really takes you back. Oh.
I know, that was a good one. We're probably gonna wrap up here. It's 10 o'clock. I gotta get going.
Big things you wanna hit on?
Probably just talk about there are so many things, like, we could literally talk about this for hours. There's so much history in this bar. There's so much that I know. There's so much that I think I know, but I probably don't. And there's so much that I don't know. And I'm gonna do my very best since we started this podcast. I'm gonna do my very best to get some of the old players, some of the old regulars that have been coming in here for 30, 40, or 50 years to come in as guests. I'm going to try to get Danny. He's very shy. He's an extremely great guy. And he and I have this respect for each other. Like, I look at him almost like a father figure because he knows, like, we share the fact that we both had ownership in the town pump. And he knows that Dennis sold it to me because I would do very little to change. We change with time, we change with products, we change with some of the progression, but the foundation of the town pump is and will always be, as long as I'm owner of this place, it will always have the same foundation and roots that it always has. And that is integrity, local nostalgia, customer service, cleanliness, as clean as we can
Yeah.
possibly keep it, as old as it is, and and value the persona and the character that the town pump offers.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
city
I'm
of Fort
sure there's a
Knox.
huge respect there.
It's
Yeah.
a responsibility. That's where the respect comes.
Yeah. Passing down that torch and, because what he gave it to Dennis, sold it to Dennis.
No, there was an owner between
Okay.
Danny and I think it was Gary Kinsey
Okay.
was the owner between them two. But yeah, still
But
they
still,
knew each other very well.
yeah, carrying what you said, that integrity and, making as minimal changes to the core values as possible. I think that's tried and true, and that says something.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I just look around in here and look at the matchbox.
Oh, same.
You could go back and look at the pictures from the 1970s or even when Dennis bought this place. That was over here on this wall. Like, you can't stop talking about the history of here. So,
I mean, even this photo behind you, I know the story behind that is
the
fun. I
Clint
mean, there's so
Eastwood,
much we can
we
do.
call him, yeah, but
Yep.
and we'll talk more about this in later episodes. Think we've probably talked long enough. At least I have. So, hopefully that enlightens you on
Yeah.
some things
I've
about
heard
the
some
town
things.
pump. You can
Mhm.
share this information with customers that walk in. And, for all of you guys out there that have wondered and thought about the town pump and the history here, if you ever have any questions about it, come on in and, ask Sam, ask Katie, ask the bartenders about the history of the town pump. We try to educate everyone on the foundation and the basic history of this place. So, and hopefully you learned something here, right here on our very own little podcast that we're now calling the Pickled Egg.
Thank you, Jake.
Have a great day.
See you guys.